Hey guys, welcome back to this series where we're going through the challenges in the C Sharp 11 expansion for the C Sharp Player's Guide. In this video, we're going to cover this Premixed Potions challenge. This one has some complexity to it. Like we're really trying to learn about list patterns. And this kind of builds on the Potion Masters of Patren challenge. There's some things in there that are useful, but I don't know how much. Like it's also kind of different, so I don't know how much code you will reuse between the two challenges. Just because they are kind of different. Like they're in the same space. Like they deal with these potions, but don't feel like you need to like add on to your Potion Masters of Patren challenge to make it like work with both of them. Like this, it is a separate thing, and there might be a few bits and pieces of code that you might want to just copy and paste over. Copy and paste stuff like that isn't necessarily the perfect way to do these things sometimes. But for the kind of thing we're doing here, I think just copying and pasting. For example, there's a couple of enumerations that I'm just gonna borrow. I'm just gonna copy and paste rather than get clever with how to reuse that code, even though that could be a useful strategy too. So the idea is they're still potions are formed in a specific way. For you start with water. If you add, say, an elixir, if you add stardust, water plus stardust gives you an elixir. Water plus stardust plus snake venom gives you a poison potion. Water plus stardust plus a dragon's breath gives you a flying potion, that kind of stuff. So that we were already doing this thing, like the Potion Masters of Patren was already doing this thing of like one step at a time. We're going to add this in. Here, we're going to just have a list, an array of the items, and we're supposed to just figure it out from the full set. And like I said, don't try to weave this in. My take. I mean, you can if you want, but it's not worth that trouble. Don't try to weave this in to the existing thing. Just build a new thing. It's just that those enumerations for like the potion type and the ingredients, I don't know that I want to invent that again from scratch. So I'm going to just copy that. Me, however, I'm going to just come over here. I'm just going to come over here to Solutions, 5th edition. And I'm just going to come down here and just yoink these straight out of here. There, now I've got my, make that a little bigger. Grab my enumerations. All right, so the challenge also, it mentions that like, you don't need to deal with user input here. You can if you want to, but I think like that makes the program way longer, and it kind of misses the point. Like the user input isn't the main thing here. The pattern matching is what we're going after. So I'm just going to make an array and do like ingredients dot. Oh, you know what? I think you could. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry, my brain was jumping around there of what this all means. So yeah, we can do ingredients dot. So if you've added, what did I say? So if you add just stardust, then you should get an elixir. So if I do, okay. So I'm just going to make an array, and I'm just going to modify this. Like the user isn't going to be able to do this. Only me, the programmer, because I have to change the code and recompile, is going to be able to do this. That's good enough for now. But so what we really want to know is what sort of potion comes up as a result of this. So I'm going to use a switch. This was potion type. So I'm just going to make a switch here, and if it's, I'll start by saying if it's anything else, I'll just do my catch-all. Then we'll do that. So we'll add other patterns before this. And then I'm just going to do console.writeLine. So whatever it is, now if I run this, it'll just do it. And in this case, it's always going to be Ruin Potion. Not ideal, not even correct. But you can see that that part's working. So now it's just a matter of getting the right patterns in here. Well, if it's an empty list, then if we've added no ingredients, what we've got is water. So I could actually test that out now. And there it is, water. So this is the simplest pattern, an empty list. And like I said, it's a list pattern, but it works. It does work with list, but it works with, the expansion describes it. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's like, it needs a couple of things. It needs the ability to know how many items there are and to access items. So as long as it's got that, or like access them by like index it. Index 1 has this, index 2, like, so it needs that. So a lot of things cover it. Arrays are included in it. Lists are included in it. So a bunch of things could work here. Anyway, so if it's empty, and if it's empty, completely empty, then it'll be water. If it's anything else, it'll be ruined now. We definitely don't want to stop there. So if, for example, it has a single item and that item is Stardust, then we do that. So this pattern doesn't say if it starts with Stardust or if it ends with Stardust. It is literally just ingredients. It's just a single item in it, which is what we've actually got here right now. If it's just Stardust, then we're going to get an elixir. So now we should be able to run this and see that elixir. And now we have all of our other patterns, and this is going to get a little more complicated. So all these are going to start with Stardust, but if we do Stardust plus Snake Venom, then we have a Poison Potion. If we do Dragon's Breath, then we have a Flying Potion. Oh, apparently called that Dragon Breath. If we do Shadow Glass, then we have an Invisibility Potion. If we add an Eye Shine, Night Side. Now here's where things get interesting. If you take either of these last two and add the other ingredient, you end up with a Cloudy Brew. So one way to do this is just to have the two of them. It's important to point out with these that like the order here matters. So I can't just say, if this is if it happens to contain Eyeshine Gem and Shadow, like the order here matters. If somebody puts in Eyeshine Gem first and then later Stardust, this pattern won't match that. I think there are to me, for what we're doing here, this is great. It's fine. I think, however, there might be other scenarios that are more complicated where you wouldn't want to do it that way, and you can use different patterns. So I'm like every single thing, the list pattern allows inside of it many other sub patterns, and it can be anything. And I'm using like this right here is a constant pattern. This is a constant pattern. So I could, for example, say var a and var b. So that's the var pattern. And I'm going to say where a equals ingredients dot shadow glass or a equals ingredients dot I shine gem. Sorry, that's not where, it's when. Don't need the parentheses. So where A is either of these. And then I could say, and B is also these, and A and B are not the same thing. And then I don't need the second row, but like, hopefully you can see, like, that is complicated. I would rather stick with what I had. I think the trick would be if it's like, it could be any ingredient, as long as these last two are different from each other, or something like that. Then like handling all the scenarios explicitly separate lines is painful. So depending on what you're doing, you may want it one way or another. But for right now, I'm just gonna explicitly write out that there's only two possibilities to get a cloudy brew. And that's enough. The catch here is from cloudy brew, if you add a stardust, you get a wraith potion. And in order, because these are two different ways to get the cloudy brew, there's no choice but to duplicate these here as well. So now if I add ingredients dot stardust, all right. So yeah, like I said, it's there are plenty of other ways you could do this, and as long as you've come up with patterns and you're using list patterns at some level or another, everything is good. It doesn't matter how you did it. There's a lot of ways you could do it. To me, this is the easiest. It lists out the options kind of explicitly. It's very direct. This, then this, then this, then this results in this. And that then if like the number of ways you could arrive at any particular thing was more complicated than this, you might need to do something different. In fact, you might get to a point where it's complicated enough that the patterns won't work. But it works here, and this is a pretty interesting and good, I think, example of list patterns. So again, we're not doing any user input here. You could if you wanted to, but I don't think it's worth it. But so let's just test this out. If we do stardust, then we do it that way, we should get a wraith potion, which we did. So yeah, I think that is everything. We didn't use any of these. That's the other list pattern. This thing, at least the way I did it, didn't use it. It didn't have a need for it. But that's the one list pattern that we didn't take advantage of here, which is fine. We don't need to do it. We don't need to use every possible pattern all the time. But yeah, so that, just kind of to summarize, that's how list patterns work. They're pretty nice. They're a nice little thing. Like I said, they do have their limitations. You can't, like, there's going to be times where what you need to have in it just need, there isn't like a pattern for it, and you need to just say, well, if it contains this and if it contains this, like, for example, if order didn't matter, if it was like, well, wraith potion is an eyeshine gem, shadow glass, and 2 stardusts, I don't care how you got there, you could put the 2 stardusts in first. If that's the rule, then the patterns aren't going to work at all. You need to just write if else loop whatever code to make that work. But when it does work, patterns are super fun. All right, I'm gonna call it here. I think that's plenty of discussion about this, and hopefully this challenge helps you see the usefulness of list patterns when the time's right. So that is everything. I will see you guys next time.